Welcome to The Explainer, where we break down big ideas. Today, we're exploring a really powerful concept for how to untangle our world's most complex problems, the idea of creating islands of coherence.
So let's dive right in. To even think about finding a way forward, you first have to really get your head around the scale of the challenge we're up against. We're not just facing a list of separate issues, we're dealing with a deeply interconnected system of problems, a true tangled knot.
Okay, so our journey here really has to start by putting a name to the problem. We're living in what you could call a complex and, well, pretty dangerous state of interconnected crises.
Now, the key word here, the one you really got to focus on, is interdependent. This isn't just a random list of bad things happening. It's a systemic condition where one crisis fuels another. Climate instability makes economic problems worse, which then fuels social distrust, and that distrust makes it almost impossible to get everyone on the same page to fix the climate problem in the first place. It's a vicious cycle, that tangled knot we were talking about.
So, faced with a problem that massive, what do you do? Well, the really crucial point here is that the proposed solution isn't some other giant top-down master plan. Nope, it's the complete opposite. It's an idea that starts small, right at the local level, building a better way from the ground up.
And that ground-up approach leads us directly to the core idea we're exploring today, a powerful concept called an island of coherence.
So what is that? Well, you can think of it like a community that intentionally decides to create a pocket of stability, of order, in a world that feels increasingly fragmented and chaotic. It's a place-based effort to build a more coordinated, stable, and, well, regenerative pattern of living. Now look, the idea of intentional communities isn't new, right? People have been doing this for centuries. But what's different here is that this model is being framed as a necessary evolutionary step for our time, a way to actively practice and prototype a new way of living that can actually work. And this is a really important point. The goal is not to build some isolated utopia, a place to escape from all the world's problems. Not at all. The real goal is to create living, breathing examples, real-world labs, basically, that other communities can look at, learn from, and adapt for themselves. All right, so what actually makes these islands work? What's the engine that powers them? Let's take a look under the hood. Okay, that's a mouthful, I know. Synergistic, cohesive, sustained, healthy coherence. But each of those words is actually super important for understanding how this whole system is supposed to work. It's like the secret sauce. You see how these four ideas build on each other? Synergy is where collaboration creates something bigger than the sum of its parts. Cohesion, that's the social glue that holds everything together when things get tough. Sustained means it's not just a flash in the pan, it's built to last. And finally, coherence is when all those pieces, the people, the tech, nature, are all working together in a healthy, reinforcing way. Now you might be wondering, where does technology fit into all of this? Well, a really key piece of this model is a new kind of AI. But, and this is a big but, it's designed specifically to support human connection, not to replace or control it. Yeah, this model draws a really clear line in the sand. On one side, you have AI used as a tool for surveillance and manipulation, which is, the scary stuff. But on the other side, it's proposing what's called relationally aware AI. Think of it as coherence infrastructure, basically a tool to help us see connections we might have missed and work together more wisely.
And this quote just hits the nail on the head. It says, "We are not building software, we are prototyping a new form of societal coordination infrastructure." So you see, the tech is just the scaffolding. The real goal here is so much bigger. It's about fundamentally reshaping how we organize ourselves to solve our biggest problems. Okay, so this all sounds fascinating, right? But is it just a cool theory, or is this actually happening somewhere in the real world?
Well, it's definitely not just on paper. This is a classic show-don't-tell experiment, and it's taking root as we speak in a real community. It's designed to be a living, breathing demonstration for everyone to see. And they picked Santa Barbara for a very specific reason. That community has this long, rich history of environmentalism, which makes it the perfect place to try and demonstrate this new kind of symbiotic relationship between a city and the planet. But here's what's really interesting. This isn't just about some fancy new tech. The whole system is built on a foundation of trust and active participation. They're using frameworks like sociocratic governance, which is all about consent-based decisions to make sure everyone's voice is actually heard. It's about fostering this collective sense of purpose. You could almost call it a shared ikigai, where the community itself gets to write its own future.
All right, let's get to the final piece of the puzzle, and maybe the most ambitious part of this whole vision. How do you scale this from one community to, well, the whole world?
See, the long-term goal isn't just to build one perfect little island. The real vision is to connect these pockets of stability into a much larger, self-supporting network, an archipelago of coherence that could span the entire globe.
And what makes that network possible is a framework they call the Phoenix architecture. You can think of it as the shared operating system, right? It's the set of tools and protocols that lets all these different communities coordinate with each other and learn from each other's successes and failures, all while holding on to their own unique culture and local control.
And this, right here, is the ultimate so what. The ambition is to create a real, viable pathway for a truly global, regenerative response to all these challenges we face. A way to fundamentally rewire our relationship with each other and with the planet itself. So that leaves us with a pretty provocative question, doesn't it? Could a network of small, connected, and coherent communities really be the blueprint for a global transformation? It really makes you think. Maybe the answer isn't one single giant master plan, but thousands of these interconnected experiments, all learning and growing together.